Hey guys, Big 33 here with a tutorial video for RPG Maker 2 for PlayStation 2, doing a video on how to do on-screen interactable enemies. Typically this game works with encounter-based games where you face enemies in an encounter, but I have found a way around that, and I'm here to explain a little bit of what I've done. So let's get started. First I'm going to delete all. Now I'm going to load. And I have a file set up that I use with a lot of preset data deleted from it. And that's my blank file, or my blank slate from my games. I didn't erase everything because I do use some of the scripts. But the ones that I could erase, I did. So the first thing I'm going to have to do is go to Game Settings and create a flag. And what a flag is, it's basically a switch that's on or off. And something occurs when it's on, or something occurs when it's off. Or multiple flags are on or off, based on an if-then case basis or a script branch condition, which I'll go into here in a little bit. Our flag will only need one for this tutorial, and it will be called enemy A dead. And it's going to tell if the enemy is dead or alive. If it's off, the enemy is alive. If it's on, the enemy is dead. We're only going to need a few variables. The first variable is going to stand for the HP of the enemy, or the life force. How much hit points the enemy has. The next number is going to be the damage for the enemy. And the last variable is going to be the damage for the player. So that's all we need for right now. Update and exit. Now we're going to create an event, and this is going to be our enemy. Is going to be contained within this event. We're going to call it which. To keep it simple. And the start condition is going to be touch, or when you physically run into the enemy. That's the start condition. What has to happen before the enemy or event starts. And these are some other conditions here, but I'll go to them in later videos. In this case, we're going to have a condition, and basically this has to be met or the event will not work. So if enemy dead is off, or if the enemy is alive, is the only case when the enemy will exist. So update that. Now we're going to go to scripts, which is like the code for events. Events are the tangible, interactable forms of scripts. Scripts are what tell the events what to do, and events are the tangible version of scripts. So we're going to create a script, create new data. We're going to call this enemy A. And first off, we're going to create a script branch condition, and it's going to be the flag enemy dead, enemy A dead, off. If enemy A dead is off, or if the enemy is alive, and another if-then case basis, if enemy HPA is at or below or equal to or less than this symbol, 0. If the enemy hit points is 0 but it's still alive, data, flags, enemy dead, enemy A dead turns on. So now, once this event is removed, it won't come back until that flag is turned off again, which is pretty useful. I'm going to put that at the bottom. I usually do. I'm going to put some effects in here. So the event effects, single action, and we're going to have it be happy at 40% speed, and then sound effects, gonna make her cry, screaming like a little child. You probably can't hear it, but it's funny. So we'll do that, and then do an event effect again. Transparency 100% over 80 frames, which is just under 3 seconds. 30 frames is basically a second in this game. And then after enemy dead on is turned on and they are considered dead, go to events, control, and temporary removal. So this event will be removed until the map is entered again. And because this flag is now on, it would have to be turned off for the enemy to reappear. So this takes care of the enemy dying. Now for the attack part of the script. We'll need another if then case basis or a script branch, and go to condition and variable, and it's going to be enemy HP. If enemy HP is equal to or greater than this symbol, 1, if it's equal to or greater than 1, you can attack it, and then it can attack you. So what's going to occur within that is an input of buttons and constant wait. So it's going to wait for a button once you touch it. And then another if-then case of variable, user button, and 4, or triangle. So if triangle is pressed once you touch the enemy, the fight will commence. You will start fighting the enemy. Now what happens when we fight that enemy? I prefer to have the player attack first. So we'll start with that. Sound effects. Make a power yell here. War cry. And then before that, we'll make a member effect, single action, member verk, special, and we'll have the speed at 50. That should cover that. And then he screams. And then the event has a effect of a single action or an action they perform. And it's going to be happy, which is basically raising their arms for every character, and at 40%. All the characters pretty much raise their arms for the happy special. And now the script to actually deal the damage. So before that though, a sound effect of the witch actually getting hit. So she's going to scream. So I want scream female. 8. And then for the meat and potatoes. So, first off, we're going to have to turn on a flag called check stat type, which, if on, all of your stats can be affected by changes you make. We're going to make a change. We're going to take the variable 86 member number and make it equal to 0 plus 0, or just 0. And that designates the first member in the list. The very top member in the list is listed as 0. Their member number is 0. So basically 1 in this game is 0. This game is supposed to be made to be a one-player game, so that's all you'll need. Now, after you input the number, data, member info, and load, and then after that we're going to be affecting variables. So go to System, and we're going to turn an attribute into a number, or one of those beans in that jar. And then change the variable, or that number, to be player damage equals itself plus strength. So strength is going to add to your damage. So the higher your strength stat, the more damage you're going to deal. Now that we've got that number, that attribute has become a number, we're going to take and go to data and turn that number back into an attribute by substituting the variable for an attribute. And the last part of that portion of code is just member info and save. So it saves all of this data for this member. Now we're going to copy this and paste it and change player damage equals itself plus strength to attack. So both are factored in. And finally, data, variable, enemy HP equals itself minus player damage. Enemy HP. Minus player damage. A little far down there. So the enemy is going to take damage. Now up here, put in something so the number randomizes. Go to data, variable, and player damage equals a random number between 1 and 5. So they can do 1 to 5 damage. Now we're done with that. And the enemy code is easy. We'll set up another input creation for buttons and constant wait. It will wait for you to press the button, and then a if in case or a condition variable user button variable number 4 is equal to 4. So again, if you press triangle a second time after the player has attacked, then the enemy will deal damage. So we're going to go sound effects, wood. I like the wood sound. Make it a little lower, and then events. Now one more sound effects. Sound effects. Make her laugh. And then events for a single action. Make it special at 50%. Now let's make it 40. And finally, for the damage portion of the script, data, variable, enemy damage equals a random number between 2, a random number is the question mark, and 5. So we'll do that, and then after that, data, data, and stick in stat check type one more time, so that the HP is counted and all of the stats are counted for the player being affected. And then load the member info, which is variable number 86. And it's going to, again, equal 0. Now we're going to load the member info and use that trick again with the substitute attribute for variable, and then input the variable, which is going to be HP. And whenever you're working with actual stats, you have to use this formula, or at least this is the formula I found is the best to use. So hit points will equal itself minus enemy damage. And then finally, to seal this off, we go to Data, System, turn that number back into an attribute, and go to Data, Member Info, Save. So now the member has been hit by the enemy. Now we want to give this a visual effect. So go to Graphics, Visual Effects, Create New Data, and we're going to call this Attack. VFX, and we're going to create a new element, and it's going to be an object and a sword. And the setup is going to be a blend of subtract and a rotate on the Z-axis at a speed of 16. And update, and create new, and move by holding X and pressing L1 to go above the players and enemies' heads, and then copy this and move it down 3, paste it, edit, move it up some more, and make the size larger so it kind of gives it an effect. And then copy this and paste it. And you don't have to do this exact thing. You can be creative. Turn the transparency to 100% and move it a little higher. And the size smaller. That should do it. And then if you go over to the right tab and hold down all the way over, it'll go to the last point on the effects grid. So that's that. Now go to scripts, and we'll go back to the enemy, and put the effect for hitting the player within the enemy attack script. So screen display effects, member, effect, attack, member, work. He's going to be the only member at this time. I've deleted the other ones. And then once we go up here to the member attack, we're going to go to screen display effects in the enemy or the event and attack VFX 1 occurring once. And then we're going to copy that, put it at the top of our script there, and then update. Now we need to create a dungeon and a world organization and an event placement to put all this together. So go into your dungeon editor, and we're just going to call this test and update, and start creating our dungeon. It's not going to be anything fancy, so just some simple design here. I don't know which way is what. It doesn't matter. Should do that. Done. Now for a world organization. Within the graphics for the world organization, it is the placement, it is the actual physical representation of the dungeon, the events, and the objects within the dungeon. It is the physical copy, basically. So we're just going to call this test. Being repetitive is good. We don't have any events yet. We'll set some BGM for it, make it a calm music. Set the dungeon. I'm acting like a dummy. And then update. Now we have an actual copy of the world. So we'll go to scripts and events, in which edit, not the name. The apply is what happens when the script is called, which is our enemy script, and we'll update that. Now for an event placement, the event set is going to be test, and the map is going to be test as well. And we're only going to have the one event in here, and it is going to be our little witchy. Apparently she doesn't exist. She's just invisible. So go to scripts, events, and witch, and edit, and give her a model so she's just not nothing. We don't want our witch to be nothing. Well, at least not until we defeat her. So that covers her. I want to go into the party members and change Burke a little. So go to his stats and change them to 32 and 10 for HP, and the MP doesn't matter. I'm not going to need a whole lot. His strength is going to be 3 with an increase of 1. That's all that matters right now. And then game, general settings, 2 things. In the advanced tab, you can adjust flags, variables, and inputs. And the starting value is set in this page. So we're going to go to the variable enemy HP, and it is going to equal 30. So the enemy will start with 30 hit points. We're going to update that and go to our graphics, back to our world, and put in our events by going to the Basics tab, into Events, and then Test. And this should be good to go, as long as my video doesn't cut out on me like every single other video I've started today. Alright, let's see. Oh. No, I'm just being a numbskull. So you gotta go to Basic to set the start location of the game, which is going to be Test. And then I want to click on the blue tab to set a position and press X twice. Press Select and circle out until you can update in data and exit, and they should start in the test map. Okay? So she's hit. He's hit. She's hit. So it works. So you can see. It may take a little bit to defeat her. It's taking a little while. But this is the basics of the script. It is pretty simple. I have a lot more complex version of my game. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Until next time.